What is up, NPBF fans and coaches, Frontier fam, and whoever finds this video? My name is Jeff, I also go by PokePrimer, and we are back for the final week of the regular season of NPBF Season 15. We have 7 amazing battles to show you this week. Another week of solid action as we wind down the regular season and cruise our way into playoffs. So, I'm not going to go too in-depth here. We're going to dive right into the matches, keep things short and sweet this week. It's just going to be myself, just kind of busy week and a busy weekend. The matches ended up happening pretty late, got some extensions going on. So, we had some matches take place a little bit later than we would have liked, but it is what it is. But we are here and ready to rock and roll with playoffs starting soon. So we'll cover that at the end of the video. But first match from this week is our dominant top seed, Alex, and the Greenwich Giratinas with their Hydreigon, Sylveon, Licky, Gallade, Crobat, and Infernape, taking on James and the Myrtle Magikarps with his Mega Gyarados, Rotom Mow, the Electabuzz finally showing up for a game, Uxie, Bisharp, and Landorus Incarnate. So, very interesting. It's cool to see him bring the Lando. He doesn't really bring it very often. And seeing the Electabuzz finally show up for a game, I think it was just because it was the end of the season, which completely makes sense. So, let's see how this match plays out. Alright, so we see the Licky lead against the Landorus. We're going to see the Toxic go off as Lando throws up rocks. A U-turn out there. And we get Electabuzz in on the knockoff, losing its Eviolite. Very unfortunate for Electabuzz in its first showing to start off that way. First off, Thunder Wave, very interesting. Okay. I'm going to Volt Switch out there on the Licky. You get the Bisharp in, immune to the Toxic. Very cool. Very good play. Hydra's going to come in here. Going to tank an Iron Head with the Rocky Helmet, defensive Hydreigon, or very nice stuff with the defensive Hydra. Very cool. Very much love that. Syl's going to come out here on the Landorus and take a U-turn. And Electabuzz gets to come in on the Sylveon. Surprised he didn't go into Bisharp there to threaten the Iron Head. But I guess that just invites in Hydra. So it's not like the greatest situation ever. But he gets a big Hyper Voice off onto the Electabuzz, gets down to 10%. Iron Tail does like nothing. Jesus. That's crazy. That like does nothing at all. Like 55%, that doesn't feel like a damage. Alright, so yeah, he does threaten the Iron Head, and it brings in the Hydra as he gets Electabuzz in now. Electabuzz goes for a T-Wave, does not pan out obviously because he has the paralyzed Sylveon already. Sylveon's going to protect here to get up some more leftovers recovery. And Volt Switch, allowing it to actually survive. That one leftovers tick was all it needed to survive, and now it gets a big hit off on the Rotom. Very, very good stuff. But now the Rotom's going to be able to take Sylveon out. Uxie comes in here against the Licky. Bisharp's going to have to take that knockoff. Loses its Lum. Interesting item to see. Very cool, very cool. And we see a Brick Break come out onto the Hydreigon here. Good damage, actually. Very good damage. Taking that Rocky Helmet chip still. Very unfortunate. Crobat comes in here as Uxie comes in. Very good switch on James's part. Crobat's going to get this U-turn off. And we see Weakness Policy Uxie. Really? Okay. And that does 17%. What? That did 17. That's a +2. It did 17. What do you mean? And he switched out his weakness policy. What? I mean, I guess it makes sense, but what? Wait. I don't understand. Signal Beam Electabuzz. I forgot that Signal Beam's a move that exists 90% of the time. Electabuzz was faster than Gallade. I guess Gallade must have been adamant. So he does get the SD up, but he does get paralyzed in the process. Very unfortunate. Shadow Sneak, he's going to get a crit here. That probably mattered. So he gets a Dragon Dance off as the Glade gets paralyzed. But misses out on the KO, does not get the flinch either. Does not get the para-flinch situation going. So unfortunately, the Glade is going to finish off the Gyarados here. And then there's like the Glade just going to be able to clean up. Yep, this Glade just kind of cleans the game. Jesus. Absolutely cleans the game up in the final moments. Very, very cool. Sylveon was like the kill leader for the team, too, up until this. I don't know exactly how this math... I don't know how this maths out for the Glade, potentially taking that spot for this team now, but it might. I mean, that's it. They just killed everything, so that's pretty cool. Good stuff by Alex to finish off the season as strong as he started it. Very, very cool. Impressive performance, James. Unfortunately, having a rough second half of the season as compared to his first half. Very good stuff, man. Very good stuff. Really solid match. Definitely a fun one to check out. But let's move on to match number 2. For our second match this week, we have Gavino and his Venice Beach Bikinis, bringing the Diggersby, Shaman, Seismitoad, Dusclops, Dragalge, and Jirachi, taking on Alan and the Manila Metals with his Chandelure, Landorus Therian, Mega Absol, Snorlax, Slowbro, and Armaldo. Not a great season, unfortunately, for Alan. He had a really, really rough go of it this season. I don't know if it was the Gen 6 meta that kind of like got to him, or if it was a situation of just his team he ended up being comfortable with, and there wasn't really much to do with free agency or something. But I've seen him perform very highly in other places. So I'm sure he will do well. I do believe at this point he was already confirmed as the person going down to D-League. So unfortunate for him, but let's see if he will leave on a high note against Gav here. We see the Absol lead against the Jirachi. He's going to Mega Evolve and Protect immediately, as the Jirachi does go for the U-turn. It is just Scarf Jirachi. He gets a crit. I don't know if that matters, because Mega Absol is fairly frail, but it's a non-stab U-turn, so it might have mattered. This season is very much like, because you see the Lando U-turn out here. This season, I believe, has very much shown how before the speed buff for Megas, definitely Mega Absol is one of the weaker. It's just too frail to really get anything going. Has to run Protect as a move option almost every single week, limiting what it can do. And then it just can't. It doesn't have the lasting power to really get too far in a match. So very unfortunate, but it is what it is. Very, very unfortunate for Alan this season. It just hasn't been able to get it going for him. But we do see Snorlax come in here. Snorlax, pretty dangerous one in its own right. Losing a Lumberry there on the knockoff as it gets Curse Up. Very, very scary. Do not like that. Dusclops is going to come in here and probably nullify that entirely, as Dusclops tends to do. Yeah, he just hazes it right away. And Earthquake does nothing to Dusclops now. He's just going to stay Earthquake in, as we do see the Will-O-Wisp. Very safe Willow. Nothing really wanted to come in and take that. I mean, if he was Flash Fire Chandelure, that would have been cool, but yeah, it wasn't really a safe go on his part. We do see the Shandy come in here as the Shaman comes in, gets an Earth Power off on the Chandelure as it gets a sub. Very unfortunate. Lost a lot of health on that Chandelure immediately. And Shaman does turn out to be Assault Vest. Very much not surprised to see that. It does tank that. He goes for the Air Slash there. I think that was just a cover for Orlando switching, which it did work out in his favor. Lando's going to U-turn out on the incoming Dusclops, as we do see the Toxic come out from Slowbro here. It does get burned. Unfortunate for him, for sure there. Dragalge is going to come in as the Future Sight is set up. Very, very cool. Love seeing Future Sight. Thunderbolt comes out from the Dragalge, and then Sludge Wave is going to finish off the Snorlax. Future Sight does nothing to Dragology. That's the cool part about Dragology. It's so SPDF bulky, like it doesn't have to care. But no one really wants to take an EQ. That's completely fair. So you didn't want to risk the U-turn damage on a Shaman, so we're going to set Dragology go down. Toad's going to get the rocks up here. Pretty simple, straightforward. We see Friskin. He's frisking everybody. We already saw the leftovers here, so not a big deal. Shadow Ball comes out from Slowbro, but Nightshade is doing much more damage. It's just consistently more damage. To the point where, yeah, Dustcloud is also going to get a lot back from those Pain Splits. Very, very solid stuff for the Dustclops. It's very, very dangerous mon to deal with. Lando is going to come in here on the Nightshade here as the Clops goes down. It's going to lead to Seismitoad coming in. We got to see the U-turn go out here, of course, as the Slowbro now comes in on the knockoff, losing its leftover, which is crucial because that burn is going to be incredibly prevalent now. Chandelure has to go down to the rocks here as the Seismitoad goes for the knockoff. There's no reason to click anything but knockoff at this point, I think. That's going to take out the Bro, which is very cool. Dustclops getting another kill there. Very, very nice. Scald from the Toad is going to do some big damage to the Armaldo there. Knockoff comes out. Man, if he had knocked off into Scald, he actually probably would have killed him. Straight up, I think. Based upon the damage Scald did the first time. If he had knocked into Scald, I think that would have just killed Armaldo straight up. But regardless, it's a hindsight situation. Earthquake's going to take out the Seismitoad. Realistically, at this point, I don't think a U-turn took him out at that point from that range either. And he had Scarf Rachi chilling in the back. So it was like a matter of differential at that point. But yeah, Gav's going to pick up a nice big win in the final week of the season. As Gav does, again, late season Gav is the most terrifying thing to face, and he consistently proves it with a very dominant performance in the later half of the season. Unfortunately, Alan is 100% going back to D-League for next season. If he does decide to come back, I'm sure he will perform well as he did last season. So we'll see how that pans out for him, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him back up here in main league as soon as possible. But good game to Gav, and let's move on to our next match. For our next matchup this week is my match, myself and the Anaheim Appletons, with our Mega Sceptile, Donphan, Thunderous Incarnate, Machamp, Mawile, and Hoopa Unbound, taking on Shawnee and the Z Guardian Cocos, with his Rotom Frost, the Fortress, the Kangaskhan, Heatran, Scrafty, and Mega Gardevoir. This match is incredibly important for playoff implications. Basically, whoever wins this matchup gets a spot in playoffs, no matter what. But one of us has to win first, so it's going to be a very interesting matchup. Let's see how it plays out. So we see the Kangaskhan lead immediately, gets the Fake Out off. Big, big damage. That's a huge pain. Goes for the Body Slam, and that hurts a lot. But Dynamic Punch comes off from the Machamp and takes Kangaskhan out immediately. Absurd damage already, unfortunately, for the Machamp. Definitely didn't want to be taking all that damage this early. Mawile comes in. It's a very SPDF set to take on the Gardevoir to some extent. Get the knockoff onto the Heatran, which is definitely beneficial. Unfortunately, Donphan is not designed in a more SPDF way, so unfortunately, Donphan's going to go down there to Heatran, but getting rid of the Choice Scarf on Heatran is very huge for this matchup. Earthquake comes out from the Mega Sceptile here, and then Hidden Power Fire is going to be able to take out the Fortress. Rotom comes out, assumedly going to be Choice Scarfed the way he brought it in. Hoopa tanks that hit. We get a Dragon Punch off on the incoming Scrafty. Some good damage. Mawile comes in. It's meant to deal with Scrafty too, to an extent. We do lose our Citrus Berry right when we would be eating it, which is very unfortunate, very rude of him. We set up a Focus Punch immediately, and we get the Focus Punch off onto the Heatran coming in, which is very, very cool. Really glad that tech came through and worked for us. Just go straight for the Earthquake. It's kind of a risky play. Because I knew the Rotom was going to come in, but, you know, I had to kind of try to get rid of the Heatran while I was here. I didn't want to take the chance of it staying in and me over-predicting. He does miss Blizzard here, though, so I do get some very big damage off onto the Rotom, which is very crucial for this matchup, as we know we can tank a Blizzard with Hoopa, so we can just go straight for the knockoff and take out the Rotom. We go for a knockoff, and I was very surprised to outspeed. I think I'm surprised that we outsped. But no, I think I was Scarf Hoopa. I think I was Scarf Hoopa? I think I just go off of the assumption I was Scarf Hoopa. Which now leaves the Gardevoir incredibly low. Dynamic Punch instead of going for the Bullet Punch immediately. The Bullet Punch was a fear tactic situation there. We're going to go into Mawile here on the Scrafty to get the Intimidate off on it. It's going to Drain Punch again, get a little bit of health back. Just fine. I'm going to play rough, and it gets a crit. It might have mattered. Depending on his spread, it might have mattered, because there was no attack investment on the Mawile. I was looking into it. So if it was a bulkier spread, it mattered. But Machamp is going to pick up the final kill with the Bullet Punch onto the Gardevoir. And that does secure the Anaheim Appletons a spot in playoffs this season. So very, very huge for us, 100%. A very huge situation for us. Making a playoff berth. Shawnee, he's still back in the league, so that's what's important. He'll be back next season, 100%, and hopefully stronger than ever. So very, very fun stuff. Very, very, very fun indeed. But yeah, the fun stuff, and we made playoffs, so hooray! But with that being said, we're gonna move on to our next match. For our next matchup, we have Deshawn and the Bridgeport Sandacondas with his Mega Medicham, Skarmory, Cloyster, Raikou, Arcanine, and Zygarde, taking on the Mega Diancie, Meloetta, Spiritomb, Scizor, Rotom Wash, and Mamoswine from Eric and the East Coast Aegis Slashers. Let's see how this one plays out. Rotom's going to lead here against the opening Medicham. Spiritomb comes in on that predicted fake out, but the sub from the Medicham, huge. Sub Foresight Medicham. Are you kidding me? That's genius. Shadow Sneak gets big damage off here, but the Drain Punch is going to all but remove that damage. We do see the Rocky Helmet here. Bullet Punch, very smart there to switch. He would have lost it from the Bullet Punch. Very smart to switch, and that was humongous. That was a humongous opening for Deshawn. Very, very huge. And we see another sub from the Raikou. Very, very, very cool. We know it doesn't have Aura Sphere to deal with the Mamoswine due to it not being shiny. But it's a sub-toxic pressuring set, it looks like, from Raikou. Very interesting. Sub-toxic protect Raikou, and I do not like. We see the Rocky Helmet from the Cloyster here, more of a defensive Cloyster. Very, very interesting. We see it set up the spike, get up a spike as the Raikou comes back in. Gives some leftovers to the Rotom, as the Rotom gives Raikou a Choice Scarf. Rotom's going to take it out, but not before the Toxic comes off, which is very, very cool. We see the sub from the Medicham. Going to get broken by the Volt Switch, unfortunately. Getting the Scizor in very threateningly, if I do say so myself. Scizor's going to defog here immediately as the Arcanine comes in. Not going to let those spikes stay up for long. Arcanine went for a Toxic, I assume predicting something to come in, possibly the Diancie. Does not get that, though. The Rotom comes in. Goes for the Protect here. Takes a huge chunk from the Hydro Pump here. Gets a little bit of chip damage with the Flamethrower. Everyone's going to go for another Protect here. Stalling out the Hydro Pumps of the Rotom as well as Toxic stalling it down, which is very, very cool here. Arcanine is going to go down here to another Hydro Pump. As we now see the Zygarde come in, goes for a substitute again, as he goes for the Will-O-Wisp. Ooh, okay, very nice play on Deshawns' part, dodging the Will-O-Wisp. We do see the Ice Shard is going to be able to break this up here, but we're going to see the Dragon Dance come up from the Zygarde. Unfortunately, he's going to have to switch here. Doesn't have the extreme speed, I assume. We're going to see the Skarmory come in and go for the Iron Head. Gets decent little chip damage off on the Meloetta. As now Zygarde comes back in on the Relic Song. Does not get the sleep off of it, but the Ice Punch from the Pirouette Meloetta is going to take it out. Ooh, mixed Pirouette Meloetta taking out the Cloyster as well. Very, very nice to see. Spiritomb dodging the Drain Punch here. Very nice. Goes for the Shadow Sneak, dies to Rocky Helmet, unfortunately. Meloetta is going to come back in here. Thunderbolt takes out the Skarmory. Eric is in a very dominant position here. Drain Punch takes out the Meloetta, though, unfortunately. Diancie is going to be able to come in here, get Bullet Punched and killed. Scizor comes in here, gets Drain Punched, does just under half. U-turn gets a crit. That is huge damage. We're going to see the Bullet Punch takes out the Memo. It comes down to Bullet Punch versus Bullet Punch, essentially. But, yeah, Scizor's Bullet Punch obviously would be able to do more here, always. Eric picking up an incredible win over Deshawn in the final week. Very, very massive win for Eric. That is humongous. Even though it's not a win to get him into playoffs. It put him in the best position to have a chance at making playoffs, for sure. And a performance like that, a really, really solid performance like that, mind you, put him in, I'm sure, gives him high spirits going into next season, for sure. Deshawn, he's had his spot locked for playoffs for weeks, so it's just a matter of seeding at this point, so we'll see how that pans out for him going into the playoffs. But yeah, really, really solid match. GG's to Eric. Really, really well played. Very, very cool text on both sides. Really, really loved that. That was a lot of fun. For the next matchup, we have Rennie and the Los Angeles Darkrai's with Politoed, Ludicolo, Talonflame, Mega Scizor, Weavile, and Goodra taking on Chris and the Nottingham Neolegos with P2, Klefki, Rotom Heat, Mandibuzz, Conkeldurr, and the Garchomp. Very, very solid teams on both sides. I believe at this point, Chris was already, mathematically knocked out of playoffs, so this is more of a game of bragging rights of seeding for Rennie as well. So let's see how this match plays out. We see Talonflame lead here against the Klefki. Klefki is going to just Thunder Wave it immediately, and unfortunately gets the full para turn 1. Or as I assume he was going for the Flare Blitz. Gets Rocky Helmet Chip as well as the recoil on the Rotom. Rotom's going to be able to Volt Switch out here against the Goodra. Get in P2. Focus Blast from Goodra, very interesting. Gets a Spadef Drop as well. But Ice Beam, actually, that's a lot of damage. That was a lot of damage from P2 there. I'm assuming that's probably analytic, perhaps. See Mandibuzz come in as the Weavile comes in, but we're going to see Rocky Helmet come out from the Rotom. We're going to lose the Rocky Helmet on the Rotom to the knockoff from the Life Orb Weavile. Klefki tries to Thunder Wave again, but Talonflame's going to be able to get a Brave Bird off here. Get some good damage off. Tanks a Psychic from the Klefki here. And then switches up to Flash Cannon as the Weavile comes in. Very good play on Chris's part. He's going to get the Psychic off here and another full pair on the Talonflame. I'm assuming the Flare Blitz was coming out. Goes for HP Fire as the Scizor comes in. Very, very huge. Crit Bullet Punch. Don't know if the crit mattered. But it gets the HP Fire off on the Scizor as it comes in. Mach Punch from Conkeldurr will finish it off. After some big Bullet Punch chip. Bravery is going to get a crit on the Mandibuzz, which is definitely massive. Gets him down really, really low. Now Ludicolo is going to be able to come in here and finish it off with an Ice Beam. P2 comes in. Very, very threatening Mon here. Politoed comes out to get the Drizzle up as it misses a Toxic onto the P2, which is definitely humongous for this matchup. Every turn of Toxic damage is important here. So unfortunately, yeah, it does not get it off the first time. Hydro Pump does a good chunk of damage. Discharge is doing just too much right now from that, I'm assumingly analytic P2. We're going to see the Giga Drain come out here to kind of keep him in a solid position. But I'm sure, yeah, the Life Orb Mach Punch is going to be able to take out the Ludicolo from this range. Goodra's going to come in here. Mach Punch does not pick up the KO. But, and the Focus Blast does not pick up the KO on the Conch Elder either. So we're going to see a double down here between Conch and Goodra to finish it off, and that is going to lead to a 1-0 win for Chris. Chris made a lot of great predictions and great plays in this matchup. He very much showed the level of skill that I think a lot of us equated to him going into this season, despite the fact that his record does not show it after this season. So he played incredibly well in this matchup for sure. Very, very impressive performance. This will, I don't remember if this affected Rennie's seeding at all. We'll have to kind of see where everything falls at the end of this video, but it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully Chris will stick around for another season, and we'll see if in a different format he will thrive once again. But yeah, great match between the two of them. Very, very solid stuff. Yeah, looking forward to seeing how Rennie does in playoffs now. But with that, we're going to move on. The next matchup we have for you guys is going to be Jason and the... Wait, brain dying? Niflheim Ninetales with his Mega Lopunny, Ladios, Raichu, Togekiss, Ferrothorn, and Entei. Really, really solid, terrifying lineup. Taking on the Auckland Amipoms, coached by Liam, with his Mega Sableye, Darmanitan, Chansey, Girder, Latios, and Piloswine. So let's just kind of see where this one goes. Mega Lopunny is a very huge threat to Liam and his team, so I'm very, very interesting. I'm very interested in seeing how this plays out. Gets the Mega off and Fake Out on the Girder. Losing the Choice Scarf on Togekiss, thanks to the knockoff, is very unfortunate. We get the Entei in here, though, on the Chansey. Fires off the Sacred Fire, but the counter from Chansey, very, very good play. Return comes out from the Lopunny onto the incoming Sableye. Sableye does not choose to Mega Evolve as it keeps its Prankster, so it's very smart on his part. He's going to double back into the Lopunny as Chansey comes in. Very, very good plays by Jason there. Gets off the HJK and takes out the Sableye. We're going to see the double from Latios into the Darm as the Ferrothorn comes in. U-turn on the incoming Togekiss, brings Chansey back. Lopunny's going to try to come in here as we do see the soft boiled on Chansey. Latios comes in, takes an HJK. Not nicely, however, for sure. We do see, and again, he pulls the same double and it works this time, but we're going to see the crit on the Akaberry. I don't know if that matters. It might matter if he's fully physically defensive Ferrothorn. He might have a chance to live that. He doesn't go for the Fake Out there. Why does he not Fake Out there? Why did Jason not Fake Out there? That was a prime Fake Out play. He was already down pretty low. Prime Fake Out territory. At that point, you could probably sack Raichu, realistically, to Darm's Flare Blitz, and then you can just come back in and Fake Out again, I think. I feel like that's probably the play there, right? Like, Raichu doesn't really do anything against the remainder of his team. I think that definitely was a huge misplay on Jason's part there. 100% a huge misplay. See Air Slash come out here onto the incoming Chansey. Togekiss is going to trick and steal the Eviolite from the Chansey. Very, very good stuff. As the Chansey goes for a Toxic here. So we're going to see bigger damage coming out onto that Chansey here going forward. And he's going to try to Air Slash, flinch him down, and prevent him from healing up here. Nice. Keeps him down below half. Very, very cool. Raichu comes in here and goes for the Focus Blast, but it's not going to be able to pick up the KO because that Spadef on Chansey is just too high. I think losing the Lopunny there was a huge mistake. Huge, huge mistake. Fake Out was pretty much no drawback there in that situation. And preserving it over the Raichu, I think, was 100% the play here. Definitely unfortunate misplay by Jason in this one. Definitely had a chance to take Liam out here. Because I think Lopunny just kind of messed up a lot of what was left here. We do see the Latios fire off the Draco and take out the Latios. I believe it was probably a Scarf Latios, more or less, likely. Man, it's a very unfortunate match. Very unfortunate. Liam does pick up a huge, huge win here. Really would have liked to see how this match could have played out if he went for the Fake Out there. I think that would have been really, really clutch for sure. But, yeah, Liam's going to pick up a big win. I think that solidifies him 100% as the division leader for his division, so that's pretty cool. But, yeah, good stuff to both guys. Both of these guys are in playoffs, so we're going to see a lot more from them over the course of the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that. But moving on to our last match of... Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be our last match of the week. We have Anthony and the Windy City Bolt Strikers with his Escavalier, Sneasel, Breloom, Starmie, Clefable, and Mega Charizard X. Taking on Steven and the Sligo Sandacondas with his Mega Charizard Y, Gliscor, Mew, Suicune, Metagross, and Drapion. So, this match matters way more for Anthony than it does for Steven. Steven has already locked in his divisional leader role, as he has not lost a match since, like, week 3 or 4. So, he has had his spot locked in for a while now. But, Anthony, if he wins this, he will make it in. If he loses, Eric, I believe, makes it into playoffs. So, very, very interesting situation for sure. We'll see how this one plays out. So, let's go ahead and hop right in. We see Charizard lead against Breloom here. He's going to switch out immediately into the Drapion as the Rock Tomb comes out. I'm going to presume that the way that he just stayed in, I believe he might be Scarf Breloom. I think that would be really cool. Escavalier comes in on the Poison Jab and is able to remove the Toxic Orb from Gliscor. That is humongous. Completely neutering Gliscor in the long run of the match. Starmie's going to be able to get off a good Rapid Spin here, and then just stays in as the Pursuit comes out and gets a Scald Burn on the Drapion. Very, very huge stuff here. Drapion's going to go for Pursuit again, but it does not really matter. He's going to be able to get a Scald off here. Surprised he didn't just go for like a knockoff. Maybe I think he might have been like Bandit or something. Starmie goes for the Rain Dance here. Very, very cool. Potentially could have stopped a Solar Beam. That would have been really, really nice. But gets a Scald off on the Mew here for some good damage. Starmie's going to switch into the Escavalier here. Escavalier takes next to nothing. Very, very good. And then Mega Horn is going to come out into the Gliscor and do negligible damage as well. Starmie comes in as Gliscor just goes for a Roost, so Starmie is able to fire off another powerful looking Scald here. It's going to get off a Scald onto the Charizard as it's going to get about 26%, not too bad. Going to Rain Dance here, again, just potentially prevent a Solar Beam coming out from the Zard as the Zard just goes for a Roost. And again, he can fire off a nice Rain Boosted Scald into the Mew for another solid 27%, not too bad. Going to go into the Escavalier here, once again to threaten this thing. Gliscor is going to come in here on that as you get the Sneasel in on the Gliscor. Suicune's going to be able to come in there now as take this Icicle Crash. Not too much damage at all as we're going to see the Life Orb chip on the Sneasel. Sneasel's going to get out of here. He's not making anything. He's not going to be making any moves here as the Suicune gets a little bit of Skull Chip on the Clefable. Progress is not being made by anyone here. We see the rocks go up for the Ant against Steven here on the Metagross coming in. Meteor Mash misses. Don't really know how much that matters, just because of the fact that Escavalier is like not taking much from that anyway. Knockoff comes out into the Gliscor switch as Breloom comes in now and spores the Gliscor. Very, very cool. So he's going to be forced to switch. Oh, he's not Scarfed. Okay, wow. He must be, I guess, Focus Sash probably. That's my assumption now, is he's probably Focus Sash Breloom. And he stayed in because he was sashed. Meteor Mash does 26% here. Gets the Life Orb chip on the Metagross here as well. I assume we're going to see Starmie come in here, actually. Okay, so we're going to see Starmie come in, probably just to remove the rocks for him. Indeed, he does just get rid of the rocks. Very cool. Misses the Toxic on the Mew. Very unfortunate. So I'm sure he's probably Natural Cure, so he probably would have been able to get rid of the Toxic on himself anyway. Just goes for the Scald on the Mew here. Mew goes for Heal Bell, wakes the Gliscor up. This is going to be a war of attrition. Jesus. Scald comes out, gets another decent little bit of chip on the Charizard here. As you see the Rain Dance come out. There's a crit for 20%, not really too big of a deal here. Again, Mew comes in on a Scald. Finally gets the burn, synchronizes the burn over to Starmie, but that's not that big of a deal. It's a good little bit of chip damage on the Mew here. Mew might have to Heal Bell that off. As Sneasel comes in on the Heal Bell, very good play by Anthony. Now he's a bit in the driver's seat. He can just click the Pursuit here, catch the Mew on the Pursuit, and take it out. That is huge for his game. He goes into the Charizard and then doubles into the Suicune as the Icicle Crash comes out. Smart play on his part. He's going to be able to go into Starmie here, though, as the Zardoy comes back in. This gives him the opportunity to potentially go for another Rain Dance, which he does indeed go for. No surprise there. Zard's going to come in to take away that Rain and take about 27% once again from the Starmie. Starmie's going to Rain Dance again to prevent a potential Solar Beam. Smart play. I think he's just trying to stall out the Rain Dances at this point. I think that's Steven's goal here. Again, misses another Toxic with the Starmie. That Starmie needs to get some glasses. Fires up a Scald on the Suicune here. Does not get the burn, as Suicune gets a bit Calm Mind. Very, very threatening. But you do see the Toxic finally land on the Suicune here, as a Scald does 30% to Starmie now in the rain. Not pleasant damage. That's not damage you want to be seeing. But Starmie's going to switch out here into the Clefable as the Zard comes back in. Zard goes for an Overheat, but does not pick up the KO on the Clefable as the rocks are now back up. Mew was his defogger. We don't know if he has defog on the Gliscor as of this point. Clefable goes for Soft Boiled as Steven lets the Clefable live. I feel like that's something he might come to regret in the long run. As Clefable is now back up to full. Goes for a Moonblast here, gets a little bit of chip damage, and the special attack drop on the Charizard, which is definitely not pleasant. Metagross comes in as the Sneasel comes in. Appears he might not have Bullet Punch. If he had Bullet Punch, he would have gone for it there, I think. So we do get a big, big knockoff on the Suicune here. Knockoff comes off again from the Sneasel. Suicune's going to go for rest here. Very big rest. But that just kind of gives Breloom the opening to get in here. Calm Mind doesn't matter at this point. Breloom's going to be able to get off a Bullet Seed here. And that's just going to absolutely just swallow. Absolutely swallow the Suicune whole. Flamethrower is going to knock Breloom down to the Sash, as I expected, and the Rock Tomb is going to be able to take Zard. Anthony playing this game amazingly well. Gliscor comes in here, gets Spored, completely understandable. Spore that thing immediately. Gives Sneasel the opportunity to come in here. Rocks go up, but that doesn't really matter anymore. Icicle Crash takes out the Gliscor. And we do see the Metagross come in here without Bullet Punch. No Bullet Punch, it seems. And that's going to allow Sneasel to take it out with a knockoff. Very, very surprised to not see the Bullet Punch from Metagross here. Would have been able to save him a differential point or two. But for him, I guess it didn't really matter at this point in the season. But Anthony picking up a humongous win, landing himself a spot in playoffs. And with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at how the playoffs are shaping up, because we'll see the kill leaders for the end. So that'll be fun. So we'll see there. So ladies and gentlemen, with the end of Week 12, we have our final playoff standings, our final playoff seedings are determined. Here it is. We'll start from the bottom going up. The D-League slots were filled by the Brisbane Rillaboomers, who left us mid-season, and the Manila Metals, coached by Alan, who will be heading down to D-League to occupy a spot there once again this season. He made it up here in after his first season in D-League, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to pull it off again. Definitely expect to see Alan back here within another season or two, with very minimal doubt in my mind. The coaches who have not made playoffs this season, some just barely missing out for one reason or another, include our former champion Jesse and the J-Dog Jolteons, Gavino and the Venice Beach Victinis, James and the Myrtle Magikarps, Shawnee and the Z-Guardian Cocos, Chris and the Nottingham Neil Legos, and Eric and the East Coast Aegis Slashers, whose playoff chances were dashed by Anthony in his last matchup. So, with that being said, let's take a look at our top 8 for the season, our playoff coaches for this season. Starting out with our divisional leaders. In the first seed is Alex and the Greenwich Giratinas, with a near-perfect record this season. Absolutely played their mind out this whole season. Played incredibly well. Really, really stellar performance from start to finish. Absolutely loved it. Landed the first seed. Remaining in the second seed is going to be Deshawn and the Bridgeport Sandacondas. He picked up a few losses near the end of the season, but he was still able to maintain a top position for himself, which is very, very cool. Stellar performance by Deshawn once again, so I'm not surprised to see him up here. Next up, we have Steven and the Sligo Sandacondas taking up the third divisional leader spot after an incredibly dominant late season performance. Went 9 weeks, I believe, straight, 8 or 9 weeks without losing a game. Absolutely absurd. Well played by him. Then we have Liam and the Auckland Ambipons filling the divisional leader spot for the 4th slot. Very, very good stuff for him. He played incredibly well all season. His team is possibly one of the most threatening and difficult to break through. So no surprise there whatsoever that he is up here in this kind of position. And looking at the wild cards, the first wild card slot is going to be occupied by Rennie and the Los Angeles Darkrise. Another stellar season by Rennie. Not the best he could have done, but yeah, his goal during the regular season is to make it here, right? His goal is just, I want to make playoffs. I'll figure everything out once I get there, but I just got to get there. And so he has achieved his goal. Once again, as per usual, Rennie is in playoffs. Jumping up to wildcard slot 2, thanks to that 6-0 performance in week number 12 by Anthony, is going to be Anthony and the Windy City Bull Strikers. Amazingly well played. We missed the T there. I'm just going to add that. Boom, there we go. Taking up the second wildcard slot. Very, very well played by Anthony to make it up here. Really, really insanely good performance on his part. He played that last week like an absolute champion. Would not be surprised to see him put on a dominant performance here in playoffs. Next up, we have Jason and the Niflheim Ninetailers with the third wildcard slot. Sneaking in with a lot of late season big wins on his part. Very, very well played late half of the season for Jason. He put in a really dominant performance in several matches. And really, really stood out for several weeks in a row there. So good for him. And then, last but not least, myself and the Anaheim Appletons, we are going to take up the 4th wildcard slot, winning that slot from Shawnee in our Week 12 match. So, with that, let's take a look at our current playoff matchups and see how things are shaking up. Ladies and gentlemen, here are your quarterfinal matchups for NPBF Season 15. We start off with the number 1 seed, the Greenwich Girautinas, taking on the number 8 seed, the 4th wildcard slot, in myself and the Anaheim Appletons. Me and Alex have had plenty of stellar matches in the past. This one should be no different. It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of tricks either of us are going to pull out in this one. It's going to be a very, very tough match. Definitely going to be a fun one for sure, though. One I am definitely looking forward to. I cannot wait. And we move on to the 4th division leader, being Liam and the Auckland Ambipalms, taking on the number 1 wild card in Rennie and the Los Angeles Darkrise, facing off for the 3rd time this season. Very, very cool stuff with Rennie taking him on once again. This is going to be a very interesting matchup to see, as they both seen how each other play plenty of times throughout the season. A 3rd rematch is never something you want to fall into in Draft League, so this is going to be a tough matchup for both guys to try to bring something that can catch their opponent off guard. Then we have the Sligo Anacondas taking on the Windy City Bull Strikers once again. Steven getting a chance to potentially revenge the 6-0 he was just given in the final week of competition. Anthony is going to have to try to come up with some new tricks to try to prevent him from being able to do that. Really, really hilarious how we have two big divisional rematch situations in playoffs already. That's going to be very, very funny to see. Then we have Deshawns and the Bridgeport Anacondas taking on Jason and the Niflheim Nine Tailors in the final matchup. This is going to be a very, very interesting one, as I believe Jason is one of the people that took Deshawns to the limit this season. Would not be surprised to see something like that happen again. Jason is an incredibly talented coach, as well as Deshawns, so I'm very interested to see how this one plays out. Definitely going to be 4 really awesome matches, and we will absolutely make sure that once these are done, that they are covered by no less than 2 commissioners, because this is playoffs are way too hype for just myself. I'm just putting that there. But yeah, these are our playoff matchups. Let's go ahead and take a look at the kill leaderboard and who picked up the win for Season 15. Ladies and gentlemen, your kill leaders for at the end of week number 12 of Season 15. In 10th place, we have Berloom from the Windy City Bold Strikers, sitting at 13 kills and 4 deaths with a +9 differential. An incredibly solid performance across the board. Let me change that real quick. I see that's different on the side. Incredibly good performance by Anthony. Berloom picking up a good chunk of kills in the final matchup. Really showing how strong Amon Berloom really is, and finally landing himself a spot on the kill leaderboard. Very, very well done by Anthony to get it up here. Very impressed by that for sure. He very much earned it. Very, very good stuff by Anthony. Impressive play all around. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He played this great. He played this last week great, and Berloom was a star. And we have Mega Alakazam from the Nottingham New Legos, sitting in 9th place with 14 kills, 8 deaths with a +6 differential. Mega Alakazam has such a high special attack stat, it's guaranteed to kill things almost all the time. It is a terrifying threat and something that should always be on a kill leaderboard, so seeing it here is of no surprise to me whatsoever. Chris played Mega Alakazam incredibly well for most of the season. It was very, very threatening on most of the time. It is always putting people in pressure situations. So there's no surprise to see it still sitting up here come the end of the season. No surprise whatsoever to me. In 8th place, we have Purim Black from the Sligo Sandacondas, sitting at 14 kills and 5 deaths, a +9 differential. Purim Black, again, is in the same situation as Mega Alakazam. It has a base 170 attack stat and a base 120 special attack stat. It is guaranteed to snag kills often, and it is no surprise to see a mon of such insane power and caliber sitting up here on the kill leaderboard. Very much no surprise to anyone, I think, at this point, that this mon is here. We have the Sylveon from the Greenwich Giratinas up next with 15 kills and 4 deaths, landing itself in 7th place with a +11 differential. Sylveon with unnerfed Pixelate Hyper Voice is just too strong, and he literally brought the same set like all season. He brought the defensive Sylveon set all season, and look at what it does. It just sits there, it clicks Hyper Voice, it claims kills, and it just doesn't die. So, really a huge fan of how he played Sylveon this season. It worked incredibly well for him, so kudos to Alex here for landing Sylveon in 7th place. We have Mega Medicham from the Bridgeport Sandacondas here, chilling in 6th place with 15 kills and 3 deaths for a +12 differential. Mega Medicham, with that pure power attack stat, is definitely a force to be reckoned with, always. Another mon that you just don't really mess with. You certainly don't want to run into Mega Medicham in a dark alley. And Deshawn, with how talented he is as a player, he made Medicham shine this season. He really knew the tool he was given, and he implemented its abilities perfectly. I couldn't imagine it not being up here, especially with a coach of his caliber running it. Mega Gallade from the Greenwich Giratinas sneaking itself onto the kill leaderboard after an incredible performance, landing in 5th place this week with 15 kills and 2 deaths with +13 differential. Mega Gallade is so strong, and literally if you get an SD up with it, it becomes one of the most threatening things in the universe, as shown here in how it snuck into the kill leaders last minute. Very well done by Alex here. Mega Lopunny from the Niflheim Ninetales, 18 kills and 6 deaths with +12 differential, landing itself in 4th place. It's amazing just seeing how well he played this thing all season. I mean, he barely made playoffs, but look at how dominant Amon Mega Lopunny was. Mega Lopunny is easily one of the best megas of the format, and it shows right here for sure. Very impressive. We see the J-Dog Jolteons having Volcanion with 18 kills and 5 deaths, +13 differential in 3rd place. Listen, Volcanion didn't really... While Jesse didn't make playoffs, Volcanion just kind of woke up his season at the later half when he picked it up. Is insanely good. And it just claimed kills for him constantly. So I'm very impressed with how he played it. It was an incredible match for sure. No shame to him for not making playoffs. He got him on in 3rd place. He landed the bronze medal. So very impressive stuff. Picking up the silver medal is another mon tied with Volcanion, actually. It's Talonflame from the Los Angeles Darkrai, 18 and 5 with a +13 differential. Talonflame, Brave Bird, everything. I mean, it works, man. It just works. And it's as simple as that. It doesn't have to do much else because it's just that good of a mon. Simple as that in this generation. So, very impressed to see Talonflame chilling up here. Not surprised, but the mon that could not be caught. We have Mega Gyarados from the Myrtle Magikarps, sitting at 20 kills and 9 deaths with a +11 differential. This mon, I want you to understand, most of its kills came from the early half of the season. Straight up. it got most of its kills in the beginning half of the season. I believe it sat at like 18 kills for like 6 weeks straight or something like that. But it was just too far ahead. It could not be caught by anything. 20 kills is a lot to ask for any Mon, and it got most of them within like a 5 to 6 week span. It was an incredibly dominant performance by the Gyarados through the course of the season. Even though James did not make playoffs, he picks up the kill leader for Season 15. Amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing stuff. Well done. Congratulations, James. Congratulations to all the coaches who had a spot on this kill leaderboard. Definitely impressive by everyone. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude the regular season for NPBF Season 15. I hope you guys have enjoyed these weekly recaps. I hope you guys have enjoyed the season as a whole. This Gen 6 season has been a lot of fun, and we've all had a good time with it as well. Thank you guys for all the support. We all thoroughly appreciate it. It keeps us wanting to do these kinds of videos, and let it be known that this is not the end for us for this season. We will be having recaps for all of the playoff matches. We will be having a blast doing those as well. And there are going to be coach interviews for all of the playoff coaches. Every coach going into playoffs will have an interview going up over the course of the next week and a half or so. So I hope you guys are prepared for those. They are in the process of being edited and worked on as we speak. So it'd be very interesting to see into the minds of the coaches. Some of the interviews are a little shorter, some of the interviews are quite a long time, but all of them are very insightful and very interesting to watch. So I hope you guys are prepared for that, and yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you guys for watching all season, and I'm Jeff, signing off. Peace.